Hi, good afternoon everyone. This side Priya Sharma, your faculty member for UGC NET English Literature. So in today's live session, I have picked up the most important and the topic which students are a bit afraid of, that is literary theory. So you don't have to worry about that what literary theory is about, and it is so vast that it consists of so many theories. So this is the reason that students feel that they are not able to somewhere do the questions correctly for that. Okay, before doing this, I would like to tell you that even in my previous video where I was just giving you the introduction, just wait a minute beta. Okay, where I was giving you the introduction of the pattern of UGC NET, I told you at that time that the 80% questions comes from the British literature, whereas the 20% part comes from the understanding level. And when I say the understanding level, it means that they ask you questions from the criticism and the theory part. Okay, so before starting the lecture, it becomes very important that you should understand the difference between literary criticism and literary theory. Before I start any of the topic of literary theory, I would like you to contemplate that what is the difference between the literary criticism and literary theory. These two terms, sometimes feel very similar, but in actual they both are very different things. Criticism actually came before literary theory. Okay, so let's start from the criticism itself, that what is the basic meaning of literary criticism and what is the basic meaning of literary theory. Okay, so let's understand by this thing that whenever I use the word criticism, you have to think that basically we are doing the criticism of a text. There is a text which is already written and we are talking about its positive and the negative impacts, or we can say we are just kind of commenting about that text, that these are the positive things about this text and these are the negative things about this text. For an example, literary criticism began with the Greek philosophers Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Then our Horace came, who wrote the work Ars Poetica, and in that work Ars Poetica he basically said that a writer should keep his work for 9 years before he publishes it, because in those 9 years he will able to think that whether this work is still relevant to the contemporary world or not. Okay, similarly, when we keep on going forward, there is Samuel Johnson who is criticizing William Shakespeare as well, that these are the things which are good about William Shakespeare work, that he is using puns and he is using so many literary figures, but simultaneously he is criticizing over this fact that sometimes he is exaggerating the emotions a lot. For an example, in the play Hamlet. So criticization is basically when you are talking about the positive and the negative things, we can say, about any particular text. For an example, in the modern century, there is Matthew Arnold, who gave a wonderful theory, that is touchstone method. Okay, what was touchstone method? That we will make a standard text, that this is should be a text should be like, and every other text will be compared to it. For an example, let's imagine that you are in a kind of competition. Okay, you are in a competition of let's take the example that you are in a competition of food competition where everybody has prepared some kind of dish. Okay, and you are the judge. So when you are going to taste each and every dish, so you have an impact that the member A has made the best dish. Okay, after this, whoever you will taste, however number of dishes you will taste, you will have that the one who will beat the A will be the best one. So this is what's the touchstone method by Matthew Arnold. I am teaching you the criticism as well here. So in the same way, then in the modern century, T.S. Eliot came and he gave the tradition and individual talent, right? In which he said that how important it is to, talk about our ancestor and talk about their style, and we should somewhere embed in our modern century our ancestor stuff as well and our modern stuff as well. We should mix both of our tradition which our ancestors are following plus our individuality. So in the whole literary criticism we see that they are only talking about that how a text should be written. Okay, this is the main point, that how a text should be written. What are the positive and the negative points about a particular text? So I hope that the meaning of literary criticism is very much clear to you. Okay, now let's move forward and come to the next point, that is our literary theory. What is the meaning of literary theory? Okay, so before I start explaining you the meaning of literary theory, I would like to give you an example, or you can think that you are holding a kind of lens, okay, magnifying lens in your hand, okay, and you are doing a kind of research with a particular text. Okay, this is what literary theory actually means. Just have a minute patience and you will try to understand what I'm trying to deliver here. Okay, for an example, whatever lens you are holding, that is a particular theory. Let's take an example that I am holding the lens of Marxism. Okay, and in a book like Pride and Prejudice or any Sense and Sensibility, any book, okay, in any of the particular novel, I am having the lens of Marxism and I am finding the elements of Marxism in that particular book. When we talk about Marxism, we are talking about communism and the capitalism and the economic situation of the society in that particular book. Okay, because we are just finding the elements of Marxism. This is what literary theory means. That when you are perceiving, when you are approaching a text in a very particular manner, either you are just looking for the Marxism elements or the feminism elements or the new historicism elements. There are numerous theories which are there in our syllabus. Okay, so basic meaning of literary theory is that beta, that we are approaching a text in a very particular manner. Okay, I hope you are able to understand what I am trying to say, that when we are talking about new historicism is a type of literary theory. So we are only focusing on the elements of new historicism. At that time, I am not concerned about the other themes. I am not concerned about the positive or the negative points of that particular text. Okay, so this is what a basic meaning of literary theory, that you are approaching a text in a very particular manner. I hope the basic meaning of both criticism and theory is clear to you. Okay, so shall we move forward? Okay, keep this thing in your head, and now we will talk about the number of literary theories which are present in our syllabus, and there are so many which I have not even written here, but let's go through them one by one. The first theory is of course new criticism, and we in the later session after the introduction of literary theory, I will teach you two authors of new criticism as well. We will start the new criticism in this live session only, that what new criticism theory is all about. Basically literary theory begins from the new criticism as well. Then after that there is formalism, which just talks about the form of a text. Then we have the feminism. Everybody knows here what feminism means. Next is there is a Marxism. I just gave you example of Marxism theory. Next is structuralism, very important because in this we meet the most famous author, that is Ferdinand de Saussure, and we encounter the most famous concept of signifier and signified, that is most complex and interesting, I should say, theory of English literature. Then there is post-structuralism, following the structuralism, new historicism, where we are talking about the relationship of history and literature, history and text together, and how they are influencing each other. Next is reader response theory. It is one of my favorite theory because it talks about how a reader is responding to the text, tells what actually text means. Okay, it does not depend on the author what he is writing. Actually, it depends on the reader that what he is able to interpret. So all these theories are, very much interesting and very wonderful. If you read them thoroughly, they are not that difficult. But sometimes when you are reading from book like Peter Barry, it's the most famous book that is recommended for literary theory, it becomes sometimes the language is so complex and you feel we are not able to comprehend what this theory is saying. So that's why sometimes when somebody is teaching you, like I am teaching you right here in a very interesting manner, that this is how a literary theory or this theory is talking about, it all becomes easy, and eventually you will fall in love with the criticism and theory. You will like the theory part more than the factual part. Okay, so I hope these number of theories are clear to you. There is psychoanalysis theory as well, there is eco-criticism as well, there is queer theory as well. These fields are emerging these days, and sometimes cultural studies, these days we are getting a lot of questions from cultural studies. Okay, and recently in the last UGC NET paper, I saw 3, 4, 5 questions, I guess, from the cultural studies itself. Okay, so it becomes important to cover the new emerging fields as well, like children's literature, food studies. Oh my God, there are endless theories. Okay, so yeah, let's move forward, beta. I hope you are getting what I am trying to say, what I am trying to explain you. So now let's start with our first theory, that is new criticism. Okay, as I have told you just a minute before, that our literary theory begins from the new criticism itself. Okay, so new criticism began in America in 1929. Okay, and before you get into the factual details, you should understand that what this term new criticism, or what this term new criticism theory is talking about. Okay, this new criticism is speaking about what? Okay, so just take a minute and try to understand that in this theory, new criticism, basically what this theory is saying, that you should never be concerned about the author's background. Okay, first thing, you should never be concerned about the author's background, that who is writing which text, because whenever we have a kind of, when we already know that Shakespeare or John Donne has written this poetry or this sonnet, we make a conception in our head. Okay, for an example, let's take example, if I give you a sonnet, okay, and I don't tell you that this sonnet is written by whom. Okay, I just hand over a sonnet to you, and then I ask you to interpret it yourself. Okay, so every student will have their own interpretation, but when I will tell you before giving you the sonnet that this particular sonnet is written by John Donne. Okay, so as soon as you will listen to the name of John Donne, you will have this conception in your head that maybe there is some kind of conceit present in the sonnet, or he is talking about some metaphysical elements, because this is the style which is used by John Donne in all of his sonnets. So this will influence your interpretation before you look at the words. So this is what new criticism theory is talking about, that you should never be concerned about the author's background. Okay, because when you already know this is the author, this influences your approach to the text. This is the one point. Okay, now understand the second point. The new criticism theory is saying that also you should not be concerned about the historical background. I know this must be coming as a kind of a myth breaking sort of thing, because whenever we are reading any kind of text, we are always concerned about its historical background. But new criticism theory is saying that you should keep the historical background aside for once at least, because it will also give you a broader mindset to interpret the text. So I hope this theory is clear to you. Basic meaning is this only, that you should not be concerned about the author's background, you should not concerned about the historical background, and the text always contains its value itself. Okay, what does it mean? That whatever words are written in the text, whatever they are saying, you should only be concerned on that. You should not taking care of the other things. So whatever words are written there in the text, they are only useful for its meaning. Let's check, let's read if I have not missed any of the point. That is your own reaction to the text. When I am saying to you that when you keep all the things aside, beta, you will automatically give the natural reaction. What if you don't like any sonnet written by Wordsworth, or you are not liking any play written by Shakespeare, because you are not told that it is written by such a great or prominent writer. So this is how it changes. Next is no author's background, as I have told you. No historical background. I have just talked about a text carries its own value. Next is focus on the written words only, like you should focus only on the text, and it emerged in America in 1929. And I.G. Richard's practical criticism, this term practical criticism is very important to understand. The way I gave you the example, that I gave you a sonnet, you interpreted, I did not tell you who wrote this. All these stuff is being talked about in practical criticism as well, which is given by I.A. Richard. Okay, and before moving forward, I hope the main meaning, the main concept is being clear to you about new criticism, and you can keep on reacting thumbs up, and you can keep on liking and leaving the comments, so that I know the feedback, and so that I know whether my students, my live students, are able to comprehend what I am saying, and they are able to make the rapport with me. Okay, so let's move forward. What I was saying, yeah, I was telling you that how you can get the question from new criticism. As I have already told you that we get the understanding level question. Okay, so what the UGC NET actually does, that they will be giving you any question on new criticism, and they will be giving you some multiple choice options, and you have to select that okay, this is the characteristics of new criticism. So when you actually understand the criticism in a very good way, only then you are able to take the right options. If there is an option written that a text carries its own value, so you know, yes, it is talking about new criticism. So that's why you should know all the characteristics of a particular theory. Okay, so let's discuss one or two previous year questions which are already been asked in the net. One type I have just told you, that they will be asking you the characteristics in a tricky way. They are not going to ask you the characteristics in a very straightforward manner. You have to understand that they are asking this, and then you have to keep the concept in your head and then answer the right choices. Now the other question which are directly factual based about new criticism is, the first is term coined by whom. That actually who coined this term new criticism. So I will give you a minute to try out Google, or if you already know, please comment in the chat box that this is the answer, that who coined the term new criticism. Please take a minute and please type if you know the answers. Okay, so I don't know whether you have found out the answers or not, but the correct answer is J.E. Spingarn. Okay, J.E. Spingarn is a person who actually coined the term new criticism. Okay, next is who used, very important question, please read it very carefully. That is, who used new criticism as the title of the book. Okay, in the very first question we just asked that who coined the term new criticism. In the next question we are asking that who used new criticism as a title of his book. Okay, so the answer for this is John Crow Ransom, I think. John Crow Ransom. So these two questions, these two names, J.S. Pingham and John Crow Ransom, you should know by heart. It is very important to go through from the important questions and the previously asked question, because you never know when they can repeat. Okay, and the understanding level we have already done. So the next question is, what is close reading and what is autotelic text? Let's talk about the autotelic first. That autotelic text means a text is talking about itself. A text is having its own value, which we have just discussed before in the previous slide. That is the characteristics of new criticism. So see how they are twisting the questions. They are just giving you the name autotelic text. Okay, so you don't have to get baffled by this term that what is autotelic text. It's just simply that it is talking about the same thing. Okay, that a text carries its own value. Whatever the words are written, you should only have to focus on those words to interpret the meaning of the text. Okay, now let's move forward at what is close reading. Basically, close reading is sometimes related to the formalism as well, but sometimes it is in the category of new criticism as well. Basically, close reading means that when you are actually scrutinizing the words written in the text, okay, you are taking care of all the metaphors written there, all the figure of speech, all the similes there. Okay, you are taking care of the proper formation of the words. Okay, you are trying to see where the paradox has been used, where the antithesis is used. You are taking care of all such things. That is known as close reading. When you are scrutinizing the text, you are scrutinizing the words in a very wonderful way. Okay, so I hope all the previous year questions helps you to understand the theory in a very better way, and you are able to feel confident as well that now you will be able to take the right options. You can able to answer the correct questions if any questions comes from the new criticism theory. What's happening? Okay, yeah. Okay, so now we have discussed about the theory part, then we have discussed the previous year questions as well. Now I will just talk about two authors of new criticism theory, and there are I think 7 to 8 authors which belongs to this category new criticism, but in today's session we are just going to discuss 2 of them, and this will help you to understand that how we actually cover all the things in our coaching. When we actually do the classes on Saturdays and Sundays, we do every author. So a live session is almost a glimpse of this thing, that what are the major works, how questions has been asked, how we cover all the authors. Okay, so the first author who belongs to the category of new criticism is William Empson. Okay, and whenever I tell you, you can jot down the notes as well from these slides, that the major works of William Empson are, you get the very straightforward questions in the net, that they will be either asking you in the match the following, or sometimes they ask you a very simple straight question as well, that which work has been written by William Empson. Okay, or there is the match the following options, that on one side the works will be written and one side the authors will be written, and you have to match that which work has been written by whom. Okay, so the first work, the very famous work of new criticism and by William Empson, is that 7 types of ambiguity. Okay, ambiguity basically means the confusion and the words which are kind of similar and they do not give the straight meaning, and they're ambiguous in themselves. Okay, they're confused in themselves, and I have written few examples as well, that he has talked about 7 types of ambiguity, like metaphor, allegory, antithesis, division of author's mind. We see this thing in many of the authors, that for an example, just take Geoffrey Chaucer. Okay, in one of the like in Canterbury Tales, in when he's talking about wife of Bath, he is basically criticizing the women. Okay, and then in the very next work, or I think the last of his work, The Legend of Good Women, he's kind of appreciating the women. So this shows sometimes division of mind, that we are not sure that what is the opinion of the author, what is the perception he is having. I'm just giving you an example for the 7 types of ambiguity. You don't have to relate this example with the new criticism. I'm just trying to make you understand that what the word ambiguity means, and why the new criticism theory is saying that you should not be talking about, or you should not be talking about author's background for this particular reason, because in one of the texts he is appreciating women, in one of the texts he is just condemning them. So we are not sure what is his opinion. So these are the ambiguous things which are present in a particular text. So you can get a very straightforward question from this, that they can simply ask you what are the 7 types of ambiguity, which were the part of 7 types of ambiguity and which were not. Okay, the next is Milton's God. Everybody knows the Paradise Lost, written by John Milton, and in this work Milton's God, basically he is appreciating Satan instead of the God. Okay, instead of the Jesus, instead of the Adam, he is saying Satan is the main hero, because he is showing us that how much it takes to to willingly love the God, how much it takes to keep all the sins aside and dedicating and devoting ourselves to God. So basically he is giving a very unpopular opinion, and he is kind of criticizing the text in a very different perception. So that's why what new criticism is all about, when you approach a text in a very distinct manner and you give a very different kind of explanation for the text. And yeah, this is a very simple thing, that he has written few essays as well. One is on Faustus. I hope you all of you know that who has written Faustus. So Faustus is written by whom? Christopher Marlowe. Okay, and also please kind of keep on revising that how many acts are there in Faustus. Okay, I don't know what's happening in this board. It's not moving forward. Just give me a minute. Sorry for the interruption, but till then you can just revise your notes until I set the smart board again, and then we will continue. Okay guys, I hope you are revising till then and you are able to understand that what new criticism is all about, right beta? Let's move forward. Okay, so we have done the PYQs, we have discussed all this stuff. Okay, and we have done just William Empson right now. I hope you are making the notes as well. Yeah, now let's discuss about the critical comments about William Empson, right? Critical comments. Now, I have just included this for your expansion of this topic, that few authors, they are criticizing these theories, like T.S. Eliot. He just said that what kind of this theory is new criticism, and we should be talking about the author's background as well. We should relate the text to the historical context. What does it mean that you're just talking about the words written there? It's not giving you the proper meaning. It's not giving you the proper, kind of interpretation to the reader if you are not aware that in which structure we are putting that. Okay, so he just called this school as lemon squeezer. Okay, it's a very fun term, but yeah, you should know. And F.R. Lewis also says that this new criticism theory, it's serious like mathematics. We are not liking it all. What does it saying that you should not be aware of this? Why it is, kind of giving the formulas and rules that this is how you should kind of interpret the text. Okay, so these are some critical comments you should be aware about. Now, yeah, the next author which we are going to discuss is I.A. Richard. When I actually began the text, I already talked about I.A. Richard, right? That he is the one who actually talked about the practical criticism, and he actually did this in the university where he was teaching, that he gave five five piece of writings to five students, and then he collected those reactions, and then he gave this theory of practical criticism, whatever I have just explained you in the initial of the session, that this he actually did when he was teaching somewhere. Okay, so these are the major texts, and I think 4-5 times it has been asked in the NET paper, that these works are directly asked in the NET paper, that who is the author of Meaning of Meaning. Okay, I have written that this is a text which is written in collaboration. Okay, C.K. Ogden also collaborated with I.A. Richards on the work Meaning of Meaning. You just have to kind of do the rote learning here, that you should just know the names which work is written by whom. Okay, next is Principles of Literary Criticism. Next is Practical Criticism. I have said this many a times now. And the last is Philosophy of Rhetoric. Okay, so these are the 4 major works which are written by I.A. Richard, and you can jot down in your notebook for the notes. Plus these 4 works are repeatedly asked in the NET paper. Okay, now let's come to the 2 concepts which are given by I.A. Richards, and it's very important that once they are done with asking you the works, the direct question that which work has been written by whom, the next thing beta they target is your understanding level, that how much you have understood the concept. Okay, so the 2 concepts given by I.A. Richard is, the one is that he is talking about 4 kinds of meaning, that there are 4 kinds of meaning present in a text, and I think I have seen this question 5-6 times in the previous year questions. So I will take a minute to explain what this means, 4 types of meaning in any of the text, and then we will move forward to the second concept, that is talking about the languages. Okay, so before starting the 2 concepts, please understand, first of all you have to learn what 4 kinds of meaning he is talking about. One is sense, the next is feeling, the third is tone, and the last is intention. Okay, sometimes they change the word feeling with emotion, okay, just to make you bewildered, okay, so that you choose the incorrect option. So it is very important that you know the 4 meanings. The first is, I am repeating, sense, feeling, tone, and intention. We will discuss all 4 of them one by one, but first of all, please write down these 4 meanings which we are going to talk, and these 4 kinds of meaning are talked in the practical criticism work. Okay, so please jot down. Okay, so the first is sense. What does the sense mean, beta? That basically whenever you are talking about something, what is the subject, what is the content of that thing, that is the sense. Okay, by particular the sense he is saying that it is talking about the content and the subject of the topic, that what you are saying, that is what he meant to say, sense of meaning. Okay, next is feeling. Okay, the next is that What is your attitude when you are writing that material? That are you biased for a particular opinion, or kind of, what is your attitude? Is it prejudiced, or you are writing in a somber way, or you are writing in an anger way, or it is a declarative way, or it is an exclamatory way? So what are your feelings, what are your attitude towards writing or reading that piece? Only that will help you to interpret, okay, the meaning of the text. Next is the tone. Now, by the tone, it means that sometimes when you are talking to your friends, or when you are talking to your parents, you don't use the same similar kind of tone with both of them, right? The way you talk to your friends will always be different the way you talk to your elders and your parents. So the tone means the arrangement of words, because it helps to understand that what is the intention, what is the sense, what is the feeling of that piece of writing, and the arrangement of words describe the tone. For an example, are you late? It's a very simple sentence. Are you late? We can say this sentence by using voice modulation in a very different way, or we can just arrange the words in a different manner, and we can make the interpretation of the statement in different ways. We can make it in a sarcastic way. If a student is coming every day late, okay, and one day he comes on time, and then just say, oh, he's so early today, or he's late, he's always late. So you interpret the meaning in what sense I am trying to say, okay. And the last is intention, very important, that whenever you're writing any piece of writing, beta, what is your intention to write that? Is it a political intention? Like, for an example, the political leaders nowadays, elections are also coming. So what is their main intention? Whatever they are speaking, are they using a persuasive sense to persuade the audience so that they can have the more votes? Or what is their particular intention for that speech? Okay, if you are speaking in a court, so your way of speaking and your way of writing in a judiciary will be very different. Okay, the way you are speaking in a classroom, or where are you doing a public speaking. So these things matter. I'm just giving you everyday life examples so that you can understand what these 4 terms are trying to say. Okay, so I hope this is clear: sense, feeling, tone, and intention, and how it matters. Okay. Okay. Now, the first concept was the 4 meanings which are given by I.A. Richard. Now, the next is 2 uses of language. It becomes very important that I.A. Richard, and before I talk about 2 uses of language, I am giving you a homework as well, or you have to find out the answer of this question, and you can type in the chat box about the answers. That this work, 2 uses of language, this concept has been talked about in which book? Okay, we have discussed 4 works of I.A. Richard, right? We have discussed meaning of meaning, principles of literary criticism, practical criticism, and philosophy of rhetoric. So you have to tell me that in which of these work the language stuff, to the concept of language is present in which work. Okay, or maybe it's might possible that I have not written the work, so you have to find it out yourself, and you have to comment in the chat box, and you have to tell me the answer. I will see how many of you have heard it carefully and how many of you have actually answered. Okay, now let's talk about the 2 uses of language. The one is scientific and one is emotive, right beta? So by the word scientific itself, you are able to understand that there will be some kind of logic involved in the scientific language. Basically, when we say that the language of the text is scientific, it means that it is very straightforward, very factual, and it is just talking about true and false stuff. Okay, whether the statement will be true or whether the statement will be false. There is no kind of gap in between where you have to think yourself, that where you have to imagine yourself. It will be very straightforwardly telling you everything, and either it will be a true statement or it will be a false statement, like a kind of prose which is very straightforwardly talking about all this stuff. So this is what is known as scientific language, where the logical and reasoning is used and you have only two answers, either true or false, right? The next is emotive. By the word emotive, you are able to understand that here we will be talking about the emotions, right? Whenever you are reading a poetry, okay, it will directly hit on your creativity level, right beta? That whenever we are talking about the poetry, we are talking about the songs, arrangement of words, the feelings involved, the tone involved in those songs are directly arousing our emotions, right? And so emotive language in such a way that will affect your emotions, okay? You cannot answer the emotive language in true and false like we did in the scientific language. So this is the basic difference between the scientific and the emotive language. You can have the questions in the paper like I don't remember whether they have asked you the question from scientific and emotive level or not, but yeah, they can ask you. So you should know the basic meaning of scientific and emotive, right? So I hope both the concept, scientific, emotive plus four sense of meaning are clear to you. We have just covered two authors because this was the live session, that is William Emerson and I.A. Richard, but there are so many. There is Cleanett Brooks and there are so many theories. I have just shown you new criticism, formalism, structuralism, Marxism, and every one of have at least 5-6 authors in them. Okay, so it becomes very important that you understand the theory first, then you look after the authors, then you look after their major works, and from in on those major work which are the major concepts. So it becomes very important that you cover the syllabus in a very systematic manner. I hope this live session is helpful to you and I am eagerly looking forward to take more lectures. Plus your comments, your likes will of course motivate me somewhere that whether you are able to understand or not. So please react, thumbs up, share your comments, and I will be here every time. I will see your responses. Happy learning with Priya Sharma and Swami Vivekanand Institute. Thank you so much.